Okay, welcome back, y'all. This is um the video that I'm hoping to upload for the 13th. And so if you saw part 1, which was going to be the morning musing, because I feel like it should be your morning musing so that you start thinking about the context of everyone's lives that we're going to start talking about in this word, right? But I never made the connection, right? So Luke 1:11, what is about to happen is going to cause a lot of fear. But out of that fear, you should never forget the promise that God made us. Okay? Our Lord and Savior is coming. And this should be something to rejoice. And you should also, look forward to going back home with God and, you know, having Jesus take care of these things in a much wiser, more strategic way than we could ever possibly imagine. But also, it's about trusting the words that we've been given, right? And so in this in these few verses in Luke, right? We talked about how the angel Gabriel, comes to deliver a good message to both Elizabeth and to Mary. And what happened? Zechariah was like, "No way, my wife is old, I'm old, yada yada." And what happened? The angel Gabriel said, "Okay, you will not be able to speak until it comes to pass." And then he could not speak. And then with Mary, it was like Elizabeth knew that Mary, was carrying the Lord. She knew it the second that she saw her, the second that Mary entered her home and was like, "Hey, what's up?" Like she just had the knowing in her spirit. And so it's like we also have to have that level of faith in what we have been promised. And a lot of the times we try to think that we could um, fight the evils of this world through our own means, when in reality, you get down to the root of evil and you start to realize that is entrenched as a weed, right? And how do you get rid of a weed that is made of people that are evil? You can't. Only God can do that. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go around kill like billions of people? Like, no, that's not feasible. Um, and so my point is, God gave me an analogy, right? So the movie Batman Rises, The Dark Knight Rises, whatever. Um, in it, we have this analogy over all these films in which little baby Bruce falls into that tunnel trying to get like some arrowhead, right? And his father has to come save him. His father has to like put himself down on a rope. He gets Bruce out of the tunnel. He carries him out, right? And in that scene, what does Thomas Wayne tell Bruce? He tells him, "Bruce, why do we fall?" Right? In another movie where Batman, like, the house burns down and his legacy is going up in flames and all this, like literal flames. Uh his butler reminds him, he's like, "Sir, why do we fall?" Right? And then he looks at him and it clicks, right? And then finally, once more, in The Dark Knight Rises, he's back in the pit and he can't climb out of it. And he's having a tough time climbing out of it. No one's coming to save him. His dad ain't coming this time, you know? And what does he remember again? Why do we fall? And what is the answer? I'll tell you what the answer is. In those first two movies, the answer was so we can learn to pick ourselves up. So we can learn to do that. In that last movie, what were they chanting when he climbed up out of the pit? Rise. rise. Even the concept of the pit is a direct allusion to the pit, to the desert that we can see in the Bible, right? We go out into the desert to wander around, be lost, be miserable, face, the fears of the flesh, let our flesh die away, so that what? So that we could come out different. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego went into the pit of fire, what happened to them? They became purified. They started worshiping the Lord in the flames. In the flames. They became purified in that. They came out, and guess what? Guess who's not afraid of fire anymore? Guess who's not afraid of the dark anymore? Guess who isn't afraid of the pit anymore? But here's what's important. True faith isn't about hanging on to a safety line when God tells you to do something. True faith is climbing up that wall, to quote Dark Knight Rises, right? Like the child did, without the safety net of the rope. Because survival is not about fleshy strength. It's not about muscular strength. Survival is a spirit. Survival is in the soul. Survival is faith. If you have faith that you will make it out of the pit, if you have plans to make it out of the pit, who's going to make it out of the pit? You are. What happens on Bruce's last attempt to get out of the pit? He packs his little belongings. He puts his backpack on instead of the rope, because this time he anticipates, I'm going to get the heck out of here. I'm getting out of here, and I need stuff for when I'm out of here. And so is true faith taking the leap of faith that God needs you to take with a freaking safety net? Is that real faith? No. No, it's not. In fact, let's get into the spiritual magic and whatever of it all. Using the rope is witchcraft, because then you nullify the faith that you supposedly had in your God to sustain you and help you make it out of there. And that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, we're not fighting flesh, we're fighting spirits. We're fighting the dark forces, the interdimensional demons, like the witchcraft spirits, all of that nonsense. That's what we're fighting, okay? And so it's like, what do? They try to break your mind so they could break your soul. And then once they've broken your soul, they don't have to worry about you, because a lot of times your soul's broken, you'll take care of yourself. You'll get yourself out of there. And guess what? Nobody has to get their hands dirty, because now you're gone. Now you're not a threat to their kingdom. But here's my point. Are you as faithful in God as you say you are? Or are you holding on to a safety rope? And I know that's hard. That's hard to say. That's hard to confront, right? Because like I said, you have to go into the desert and you have to deny your flesh, because you have to understand what the real stakes are, and you have to say, all right, I'm going to leave it up to God, right? But that's how you inherit your kingdom. We all go, and here's what's crazy, is we don't just go through this test in life once or twice. We will go through it several times, because there are so many times where you think, yes, I've denied my flesh, and then something happens, and guess what? You're back to square one. Because that's how the devil works. That's how these spirits work. They like try to infiltrate, and then they get an in, and then they start to proliferate like weeds. And it's like, hey, all respect, because you know what? That's our strategy too. We find our in, we get in, and we say, you know what? God is going to get up in your soul today like a weed. Why am I saying this? Because I've got some words, and because we're going to be in for some crazy times, people. But I just wanted to start that off with the connection between, the verses I was talking about for the morning musing and what I'm going to talk about right now. Because you need to stay strong. You need to stay equipped because guess what? It's about to get buck wild and you better have your bootstraps on and everything, okay? You better be solid because people that aren't solid are going to need you to be solid for when this ish happens, okay? So let's get into it. First off, a word from the Lord. Do not be afraid, for we are about to receive good news. The Lord Jesus Christ has arrived. The other day, Jehovah woke me up, and he does this often where, especially like if I need rest, I won't dream or anything. And then, like, the 5 seconds before I wake up, then he'll tell me, da, 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 like he'll give me a headline or a tagline, and then everything is in, or events happen throughout the day that are like, oh, that's what he was talking about this morning. And so this morning, he had told me the ghost in the shell. And over the course of a few days, I got this word. A tangled web of shell companies will soon be brought to ruin. This web intersects far too much to go by unnoticed. A president or CEO shall be forced to step down by the board, and another individual will have to regain control of this company. Now, this will happen to potentially save money or introduce mergers, but I see two companies going through, but they're big, right? They're big. One of them may happen because someone has like a near death kind of experience, but is also like making weird decisions because of that. And then the other will kind of happen because the board is trying to steal the company from under this person. And it's already been like 2 or 3 times that Jehovah's been talking to me about this, right? So what I see is like, oh, get this person out so we could manage this the way we have to. Like it's like the concept of pushing someone out so that this could be handled by more better trained hands, if that makes sense. Another word. A member of an organization or group will begin to act out of character. The actions of this individual will shake the foundations of this organization and begin a domino effect. The Lord tells me this individual is contesting the right to command of another. Because of this, there will be a power struggle. Now, this organization, I don't know if it's a country. I have a feeling that there is some evil tied to it. So I don't know if it's a criminal organization. I don't know if it's like something like that. But there's something secretive about it. There's something secretive about it. So either it's like an operation to go into a country and destabilize it, and then someone's like, no, like, I don't know. That could even be about Haiti. I honestly have no idea. But also, the Lord told me of a new weapon or aircraft. In this vision, the one who commissioned the project asked for a weapon that resembled a nail, but was more elegant. I see like a white man, right? Or like when I dreamt about this, I saw a white man and he was like a little heavy set, but not too much. And he's holding up a nail, right? He holds it up like this and he's talking to the engineer and he's like, I want something like this, but more elegant. And then he places it down. And that's where I see like the flat head and then this part. And so I decided to draw it because I do remember giving that word about that new weapon being shown. And so I don't know if this is a part of that weapon or if this is just like something else. But what I saw in my dream is like a cigar shaped thing, but like the outer core spins. And because that outer thing spins, that's what makes it fly. Like, I know that sounds weird. Hang on, is that focused enough. It's kind of like cigar shaped too, almost. Or at least that's how I saw it. And then like the outside like spins, and then I think there's something like in the end that also spins, but like this way. But this main outer one spins as well. But I don't know. I could just be insane. I could just be insane, right? Um, then I had another dream where the Lord said, "You don't have as much time as you think you have." Um, okay, this message is kind of interesting, because this is one of those where context matters. Uh, a country or corporation that relies heavily on technology shall have a blackout moment, and the Lord shows me by a rogue AI. Keep in mind that an AI is not inherently evil, but it is merely adapting to the parameters set by its creators. These parameters, however, can be inaccurate since we're human beings, right? We tend to just make mistakes, right? But also because we don't truly understand the concepts of these technologies. Like we think we do, but we don't. Now, this organization will suffer due to a lack of control over this technology. I believe it's either telecom or electrical grid power supply kind of thing. Um, I see it overrun with a virus with codes that need like puzzle pieces or keys. Like the way I saw it was like combination locks, and then like the lock turned into a certain like key, and then those keys were needed to fix the other broken parts. So it was like, okay, you need to get a combination first, then you need to fix these broken parts, then you need to get to this. But here's what's interesting about it is when I saw it, right, it looked like a woman AI to me. And so to me, I immediately thought like, oh, a mother AI, like, and why is a mother different from a father? Because a mother can give birth to children, right? Like, and so to me, I remember saying in my dream, oh, a mother system, a mother that can give birth, right? Um, this mother system cannot reconcile with the laws put into place used to create it. In my vision, it looks like a digital cancer that begins to overtake the system until it's just shut down completely. And so when this happens, I think it'll kind of like wreak havoc on this company or corporation or whatever, until they can stop it. And then like people assume it's like, oh, it's an attack or it's this or it's that or da, da, da. But like the answer is it's as simple as like, no, someone didn't program this right. And then this equation or this thing tried to reconcile itself the way it was programmed to, or the way it was trying to adapt to how it was taught to adapt, and then that's why it caused this to happen. And I know that sounds weird, but I'm just letting you know what me and God have been talking about. um did I read everything? Yes. Okay, so this is mostly what he and I have been talking about. But the reason why, I had this whole long morning musing about understanding the context of people is because I think these stories are going to be big stories and are going to be a part of a much larger whole. And some of these people are going to be seen as like I said, evil villain types, but we actually don't know what else is going on underneath, right? Like in this word where it's like a member of an organization begins to contest right to command, this individual will probably be framed by the media to be like an evil, terrible person. But we need to keep in mind that one, it's the media and it's bought and they could lie to us. Also, two, we don't know the context of this person. We don't know the context of what they're going through, and we don't know exactly what's happening. But I feel like things are going to get to a point where the media cannot hide the truth. Okay. And, and the shell companies thing, that one is kind of weird too. But I think it's weird in the sense that, like, the person that will be pushed out is probably the fall guy and is probably not even the person that is actually responsible for everything or whatever. And they're going to frame it as like, oh, this guy's the one responsible for this or that or whatever. And then really it's to protect like a group of them or something like that, you know, like, and I feel like that's why God's been telling me so much that it's important to not judge until we have all the facts. um, this AI thing is extremely interesting too, because the way I see it is like a cancer in a computer system. Like I literally see like tumors on a digital scale, right? Like an almost Akira illness. Like I don't know if any of y'all have seen like the movie Akira, but like where is it Tetsuo? Where Tetsuo just starts becoming a blob because he just can't handle the weight of his supreme powers, you know, like of his like psychic abilities and stuff. Like that's kind of what I see, but I see it on like a digital format. Um, this thing, this has been a recurring dream of mine, and I don't know if y'all remember the word I gave where I was using this bad boy to like be like, hey, there's a thing that like moves independently of the others, and this was like a thrust vector system that um, I believe was, you know, for missiles to maneuver around or whatever. But it's interesting because this thing moves like that, right? So like the inner core will stay stable, but the outer core like moves, it like spins. Um, I don't know why that'll be relevant, right? But also, the Lord wanted me to read um, a little bit of the outline for my comic, because he said what's going to happen in my comic is going to happen in real life. Um, so he wants me to read from, where was it? Okay. There shall be an attack in which, I don't know if the characters symbolize actual people or if they symbolize countries, because I kind of feel like they symbolize countries. So I'm just going to be kind of vague about it. Um, and if you want me to be specific and like use my comic as like an outline, I think I can make another video about that, but I'm going to be a little vague in this. Um, there will be an attack on a country. The blame will be put on someone that is set to succeed the position of power in that country. This person will go away for a time and will receive rejection from about half of that country. During that time, this person will kind of take a leave of absence and will meet with an ally to try to see how they can come back from this. While this is happening, another country will come in to try to claim the territory or try to have power over this government, country, whatever you want to call it, um, because it will be destabilized. This country that has been attacked, um, it is going to be torn in two, like Civil War style. So this other third party is going to come in and they're going to try to say that they're there to maintain stability or maintain the peace or whatever, when really this third party has nefarious means, right? Like that was the goal the entire time, and it is up for debate that they were the ones that caused. I believe it's a terrorist attack. Whatever. Um, while this is happening, this is when the AI event happens. Okay, the AI event that I was talking about on a corporation or government or whatever. Uh, this AI event is going to happen in another territory, right? And they will be distracted with that, so they can't focus on the place that's in civil war and the third party that's trying to come in and like take it. Um, there will be a massive debate on the ethics of telecom systems in nations as well as privately owned. The third party will exit diplomatically from the place that is having the civil war and actually extends an invitation to one of these locations. This third party is launching a huge marketing campaign to look like a white knight. While this is happening, the nation that is in civil war launches a high risk investigation into the third party. When this happens, one of the allies of the third party starts to have an issue in their little system. Like they have their group of allies, something happens to one of the third party's allies that requires all of the third party's attention and actually causes the third party to become wounded. This could be another terrorist attack on them that actually harms them. I don't see them getting like a terrorist attack or anything like that before. I kind of see it happening like after they exit diplomatically from the civil war zone. Um, in this time, there is a discovery of a drug that is used on, and I kind of see them as mercenaries or like pirate types. Um, in the comic, I call them pirates, right? But when God told me it's gonna happen here in real life, like I don't know why I assume mercenaries are like off the grid types. I don't know. Um, these individuals are controlled with like a mind altering substance, right? And one of the allies of the Civil War place discovers this. So they discover that a drug is being used on these people to control them, and they have no idea. And then they're framed for crimes. And I know this sounds crazy. I know it does. Okay. But this is, I have to say it. When this discovery is made, the Civil War country launches a counter drug while also continuing the investigation into why this counter drug is, or why this drug is being used. And it turns out that it's the third party that is using this drug to control these people. And when they use this drug, they control these people so that they can control a narrative and like frame other groups of people. Like they can be like, oh, it was that terrorist organization or whatever. Well, what they don't know is that those people were like drugged and stuff. Um, you know what? I'm going to continue this in another part because I'm already running out of